Okay, the format tells me this is a one-speaker meeting. Please welcome our speaker tonight, Shireen.
Hello, everybody. I'm Shireen. I'm an alcoholic. It is so good to be here. I am, it says in the big book, we are not a glum lot. And that is certainly true in this meeting. If you're new, I welcome you to Alcoholics Anonymous. I hope you don't have to keep coming back. I hope you stay. I hope you give it a chance. What they told me and what I'm going to ask of you is, what do you have to lose 30, 60, 90, 6 months of your entire life just to give it a chance here and see if what I say tonight or what you've heard throughout, the times that you've come to meetings, if it's true or not. Because if it's not, you can go back to doing what you were doing if that's what you choose to do. But what if what we say, what if what is happening here, what if, the guy with, first of all, happy birthday to all the birthday people, especially my Morgana, who I love and have done things with. Yeah. But like the guy that took 10 years, I think Chuck, was it? I loved the excitement in your eyes. And 10 years, you guys, if you're new, we're not here on a Wednesday night at 8 o'clock for most of us who have full-time jobs and work all day and we're tired and exhausted because this program doesn't work. I know I'm not. I'm here because this fucking program saved my life and continues every single day. Every day. And when I am open, I am just as excited as you. And when I am grateful and I can stay in gratitude, even when times are so hard. And this is a hard time for most of us right now. For a lot of us, we are struggling. We are hurting. We are scared. We are in fear. It is hard. But through Alcoholics Anonymous, every day I get hope. Through Alcoholics Anonymous, every day I am reminded that I am not on the fucking floor in my closet smoking stucco from the ceiling wishing it was a hit of crack. And I know you guys can relate, for those of you that just said something, and I am so glad that I can have a sense of humor about it today and laugh, but the reality is there was nothing fucking funny about it. Nothing. Nothing fucking funny about me wishing and begging and dying for one more drink, when the liquor store closed at 2 o'clock and I couldn't, get another bottle and I couldn't get another hit and, I couldn't get any more credit and I just couldn't, and I needed it so badly, and I was willing to do whatever it took to get it. I have to bring myself back to those moments today. And just be grateful that if I am just clean and sober today, and if I am just breathing today, and if I had a meal today, and even if I'm sleeping on somebody's couch today, I am a miracle. I'm a miracle, and so are you. And I hope you can tap into that. Because what I've learned one day at a time, and it is one day at a time for me, and sometimes it's 1 minute at a time, and sometimes I really am just holding on and saying, is it going to get better? Are things going to change? Will things be different? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Because sometimes the pain and the fear is so great that, a drink sounds good. What I know for me, though, and thank God through the steps, and I heard about the steps a lot already from the cake people, and the people that share, is when we tap into the solution of Alcoholics Anonymous, it gives me the power and the strength through my higher power to, even though I may think about that drink, and even though I may think about that hit, I am strong enough and have enough power to play that tape through to know, and I know today, without a fucking sorry, I am passionate. I cuss sometimes because I am passionate about this disease and about my recovery. And, it's it gives me the power to know the truth. And my truth is I absolutely know that I can't have one drink or one hit of anything. What I also know is that I don't want just one. I never drank and used ever for how it tasted, I always drank and used for the effect, and I needed more and more and more. So I don't know if you can identify with that, but, that's my story. And what I want to share is that, I am not one of those speakers that hates to speak, by the way. I'm not one of those speakers that runs out of time and hopes I only have 15 minutes. I hope I have 45 minutes or 2 hours, because the deal is that my life is so full. And there is never enough time, ever, for me to tell you what this program has done for me since I've been here. And if I can even just give you a sprinkle or a shed of light or hope or feeling, of what this can do for you if you stick around here, then I hope that I've made a difference somehow for you tonight. But I know it's making a difference for me one more day, And it's like when it says relate to the feelings being shared, it's like I am pretty sure my story is pretty different than most of yours, but there might be a whole lot of similarities. Who knows? What I do know is that if you listen to my feelings as I've listened to yours, I will relate to how you felt. That dark place, that feeling different, feeling less than, just that head that won't shut up and never being enough. And I remember feeling like that my whole life. What I learned through going through the steps also is that, when it says this disease centers in my thinking, and it started way before I ever took my first drink or hit. I didn't understand that till I started going through the steps. And as I started going through the steps and looking back at my history and looking back at, when I was a little girl, first of all, I had two parents who, looking back, I believe loved me. I think they said they loved me. I don't believe they really said anything horrible to me, but I never heard them say they loved me. I never felt that they loved me. But the reality was it wasn't true, and I know for some of you that is true. I mean, some people have been abused, and some people have, been through some really heavy shit. So again, it's not to minimize that may be your truth, but what I know that in my lifetime, or even those people's lifetimes, is what we start doing is internalizing that, the world is out to get us, and that everybody hates us, and that I'm not good enough. And what I know is that so much of that, when I've been able to really look at my life, has been right in here. And a lot of it didn't have to do at all with how I was raised or what happened to me. And when they say that this disease centers in my thinking and that the disease is progressive, again, before I ever took my first hit or drink, I remember at 5 years old, wasn't rich, didn't come from a rich family, not poor, but I remember back then, and it was a long time ago when I was 5, I remember going to the store. When I talk about never feeling good enough or smart enough or, just intelligent enough or anything, I remember going to it wasn't 7-Eleven then, but it was like Circle K or something. I can't remember. And, I remember going into that store and I wanted to get some candy and I had the money in my pocket, 5 years old, and, here came that thought. Ding! Can you walk out front of, the store or through the door and not pay for the candy and steal it at 5 years old? And what I can tell you is I did that. And the feeling and the charge and the thrill that I got from stealing that candy made me feel full, made me feel strong, made me feel important. Now let me just digress a minute. It talks about in the big book that peculiar mental twist. That's not normal thinking, okay? So when I went back on my inventory and I get to do the steps and I get to see at 5 years old this little girl who stole her first piece of candy, that started my whole progression, my whole disease of stealing. And I loved to steal. And every time I could steal, I would steal. And at 5, 6 years old, it's candy. And at 7, 8, 9, it was Barbie dolls. And, I progressed to whatever it was at that age. And by the time I was in my teens, it was drugs and clothes and, whatever I could get my hands on. And I loved to steal. And I didn't have to. I need to just say that for me, I didn't have to do it. I chose to do it because it made me full. It got me out of myself, And so that was a real example for me to know that way before I took my first drink, the disease was in motion. For me, I come from two parents who were very educated. They were both actors. My mom was an actress, my dad was an actor. Well, my dad was a hopeful actor, he was trying to be. But my mom was a successful actress back when. And I remember that they both, though, they would look at McNeil Lehrer News, and they were always into history and current affairs. And so I remember as a little girl walking into the living room sometimes and just going, "Daddy," or "Mommy," and they go, "Shh, shh, 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 shh." And I remember how hurt I would feel that the news was more important than them just giving me a moment of attention or just, "What do you need, honey?" And what I remember is because of that had a severe effect on me where I did not want to go to school, did not want to go to college, did not care about what was going on in the world, did not care about the news, and I set myself on a mission to go against the grain with everything. And I used to set, abandoned cars on fire and go into empty buildings and set them on fire, and I just did some really crazy shit, crazy. And But the deal is like I just always went against the grain. And so I remember I had my first hit of marijuana at 12 years old. And I remember when they talk about, progressive, that by 14, I was doing heroin, Quaaludes, Reds, Tuinals. Basically, the truth is I do spray paint if you had it, and I did spray paint glue, put it in a bag. If it got me high, I freaking did it. It didn't matter. And for me, alcohol was always in the picture. I am truly an alcoholic, a real alcoholic, but I am also all that other shit. I mean, I am a total drug addict, total liar, cheating, thief, everything that a lot of us have done. I can't say that you all have because I don't know what you've done, but I know what I've done. And, what I can just tell you is that qualifies me because I could tell you all the horror stories. I could tell you all the bottoms, but that's basically like I can just tell you I started at 12 years old and it took me till I got to be 30 years old to get to this program. And in between, just drank and used and drank and used and drank and used and drank and used. And what I can tell you is in that time, I was never interested, like I said, because my mom and my dad were about having education and I wasn't good enough. So I never wanted ever to be with a guy that had something going for him, that had education, a promising lawyer, doctor, attorney. Forget that. No, 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 no. I'm going to be with somebody who is like me, who felt like me, the underdog. We are going to save each other. We are going to be, part of this world and have feelings and care. And so, so my Prince Charming, who I married, was fresh out of the state penitentiary. And, and before he got out, I met him while he was in the penitentiary. And let me tell you something, he was my man, and I used to travel up to Jamestown every weekend. Well, not every weekend, but like once a month, in a big old Buick. And, and I used to smuggle in shit, and, it's like, and he got out, and a month after that, we got married, and, I would love to tell you that it turned out the way that we planned, It's funny. I don't know about you guys, but I can condition myself and I can convince myself, though, that especially when I've believed in something for so long, that this is it. And then my ego is so big that once I even see that I might be wrong, I still have to prove myself right and not listen to that feeling inside that tells you, maybe you shouldn't do this, And I remember right before we were going to get married, and we had planned on getting married before he got out, he started beating the shit out of me when he got out. But I had spent so much time convincing my mom and my family and my friends how wonderful he was, and he was, while he was in prison. And I know a lot of people in here have done time, so let me just say, I love this man, so this is nothing against anybody who's done time, and this is just my story with him. Some of my best friends today have done time. In fact, I got clean and sober through my best girlfriend who did time in prison, and she's clean today, 22 years. So it's like, I am not talking shit about anybody. I'm just saying that, to be with somebody who was so untreated and who had the gift that we all have in this room tonight. And the reason why I say this is that, not only did I go ahead and marry him anyway, and I knew I shouldn't. I knew I shouldn't have. But I kept lying to myself and just thinking maybe. It'll change, as we want to believe, at least a lot of us do, especially if we love somebody. But it didn't change, and it, got worse, and actually through that relationship, I got pregnant, and I have a daughter today out of that marriage. The marriage didn't last that long. She is, I wish I had enough time to tell you all that, but let me just say that what Alcoholics Anonymous has done for me has allowed me to be an amazing mother today. An amazing mother who loves my daughter so much, so much. But when I was pregnant, I didn't want her. Important for me to say that. When I was pregnant, I hated him. He was cheating on me, beating me. The last thing I wanted was to have a child by somebody who didn't love me, who wasn't taking care of me, who didn't respect me. And, it's like I had so much hate in my heart and so much fear of being a single parent and raising this little girl, and I was also in my addiction. And so what happened is my mom was like, no, you're an adult and you need to have this and I'll help you raise her. And I was like feeling guilty. So I basically went ahead and had this daughter, who I just, what I can tell you is that on the outside, I gave her everything that she needed. On the outside, I bought her everything. I took care of her, but I never gave her my heart. I never gave her my heart. I never gave her my time. I thought because I didn't beat her that she would be okay and that I was a good mother. Now, looking back, I can tell you I know I did the best I could do, as my parents did the best they could do with what I knew at the time, But, oh my God, for so long she was just an inconvenience for me in my life. And it's only through Alcoholics Anonymous and listening to other parents who actually, some of them shared the same feelings that I had, because I had so much shame. And I felt so guilty that I couldn't just love her and want her and embrace her in my life and just be so grateful that I am this wonderful mother, But it took work, and it took work of me doing inventories and to quit basically unconsciously. I didn't realize it, but I was blaming her all along when it wasn't her fault at all for what had happened to me and the choices I made and, what had happened. So, I just need to say it's like I thank God every day that we have a good relationship today, and that only through this program have I been able to make amends to her. And when I say make amends, not even about things that she remembers. Amends that me today, that I love her and I do embrace her, and everything that I said I didn't have, I have so much today. I cry in my heart, and the thought of, sometimes I just sit and I think about it. Right now she's in Israel and she's on her way. She's 20, she's gonna be 26 next month. Woo! And, I'm going to be 50. And, it's like, God dang, they say, the only thing about time is the more you're around here, the more time you get, the older you get. True. My wonderful friend Dorothy, who's in the back, who I haven't seen in 17 years or ish, we got sober together at Brotman Hospital. We were like road dogs. We went everywhere together. Marina Center was one of the places we came. I'm coming up on 20 years, one day at a time. I have not found it necessary to go out. I have not found it necessary to drink. What I can tell you is I have found it necessary to rest on my laurels at times, because I think I've done the work and I've gone to enough meetings and I've sponsored enough women and I've done the steps so often, and I think I can take a break because I've been around here a while. And what I can tell you is that for me, I thank God that I have not taken that drink yet, but I am not one of those people that will stand up here and tell you that I know I will never drink again. I have a respect for this disease. I have a respect for recovery. I know as long as I do the steps and I'm in service and show up on a Wednesday night when I'm really tired and not feeling well, that I will at least probably be blessed with one more day of recovery. But what I want to tell you is that there have been those times that I have rested on my laurels. And this is in being, I don't even want to say sobriety, just being sober. Because to me, there's a difference between being sober and being in recovery. And I've been in this program sober, and I just want to tell you that I have done things in sobriety that I had not done while I was using. And I mean a lot of shit. A lot of shit. And I say that not because when somebody, the birthday woman over here said, you're not Mother Teresa. God dang, neither am I. But you know what? I try the best I can. And I know that when I am tapped into the solution, and I know that when I get into gratitude, and I know that I just, I have respect for myself, I have dignity for myself, I can finally say I love myself. That was a really hard thing to say. Harder even to say I like myself, And is that like that all the time? No. There's a lot of times I know I'm screwing up, I'm not acting right, and the blessing again is that I can tap into my thoughts so much quicker. Just like I say, when a drink sounds good, I know when I'm not acting right. I know when I owe you an amends. I know when I'm being inappropriate. It happens quite quickly. And again, if I'm doing what I need to do, and I want to be right with myself, and I want to be right with you and my higher power, then I have to come up to you. Even though it's so god dang hard, I have to come up to you and say, have I offended you? I'm sorry. Is there something, or whatever. I have to make it right. Because that's the only way that I get to grow. It's the only way that I get to grow and stay in the light. Am I always in the light? No. But if I choose to do the things, they say if we would just put a quarter, not even a quarter, probably a third. I don't know what the real thing is. I just know for me that if I just put a third of the energy that I put into copying and using out there into my recovery, I have got it made. Because just like Morgana said, you know, we hustle out there, and we do whatever it takes to like get that hit, and we will go to any length just to get like, you know, a hit. Forget a gram or, you know, a quarter, I mean like a hit. You know, and it's like here we're just asked to come to a meeting, you know, like an hour and a half once a day, you know, and be of service and pick somebody up, you know, and tell them our story and maybe tell them how it worked for us. And it's like, God dang, you know, and we can't do that, or we think all of a sudden we don't have time to do that. You know, I have to remind myself of that. I don't know about you guys, but like, you know, because I can get real, you know, tired, or life gets too full, and just start thinking that I don't have to do that. And I do. I got to tell you right now, at 19 years plus months, I just got a new sponsor. I'd had my old one for like 12 years. I've gotten new sponsees again. What I'd done is keep my old sponsees for a long time because they were easy, and I'd taken them all through the steps, and they knew what to do. And you know what? The truth is I didn't want to sponsor new people, but not because I don't love you, not that I don't welcome you. I just didn't want to take the time because, you know, I do have a life today. Alcoholics Anonymous gave me a life. You know, I work, I travel, I have fun. And the deal is I cannot forget that if I'm not willing to sponsor the newcomer, if I'm not willing to take on commitments even still today, you know, if I'm not willing to do the basics and the stuff that keeps me in the solution, in the light, you know, for those of you that have been around, and those of you who are new, if you stay around, you will see the people with 19 years, 20 years, 25 years, 50 years relapsing, dying over and over and over every week, every month, every day, because we think we don't have to do this stuff anymore. I don't know about you guys, but I know I do. I know I do. The gift for me is that I want to do it today. The gift is that when I allow myself to be of service and tap into the spirit and tap into being of service, you know, it's like it makes me feel proud of me. I may not like getting here, but I love leaving here. And when I leave here, and what I mean by that is, you know, when we're all tired, you know, we don't want to sometimes go. But when I leave, I'm like, thank you that I showed up. Thank you that I did it. You know, and it says to get self-esteem, we need to do esteemable things. And I know for me, my esteem has not come from getting the job back, the guy back, the this back. That's all been cool when it happens, but all that shit gets taken away too. It comes and it goes and here and there, and it's like nothing's for sure there. What is for sure is that when I am of service to you, I give you a smile. I don't have to know. Can I just be kind? You know, what I know is even in these rooms, so if you're new, let me just say if you're new, don't let anybody who's not kind or not nice to you or is in their clique or whatever, they're all in their stuff and going through their phase or whatever, don't let anybody run you out of here. You know, there are so many good people in here, people that are willing to be of service, are kind, who will be there for you, and please don't give up, just like the dealer, just like the, you know, liquor store man, if one was closing but you knew there was 2 minutes left for the other, go get that, you know. And it's like, you know, yeah, and you know, and it's like, shit, if you need that hit, you know, I don't know about you, but when it was 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, if I need another hit, I don't care if you're sleeping, I'm going to call, and if you don't answer, I'm going to go to your door and knock on it until you answer, and I'm going to beg you for the hit and beg you for some credit and hopefully get it. And, you know, and that's what I have to do here, that if I happen to be attracted to you and want your number and you say no, or you even say, oh, here's my number, but then you don't answer, you don't call back, or whatever, you know what, I'm going to go to the next person. I'm going to keep calling people, go to a meeting or get a commitment until I find that group of people, you know, that are going to be my friends and that are going to travel this path with me. And I need to have the diligence and I have to have the willingness to want this so bad that whether you hurt my feelings or not, that I stay here anyway because I want what's given, which is recovery, just like I wanted the drink and the hit. How bad do you want it and what are you willing to do? You know, and what I'm willing to do today is to be sober and clean and in the light of my higher power that continues to guide me and protect me. So, let me see. I have 5, 6 minutes. He said if I wanted to push it, I could push it to 5 till, but not over. And I know what it's like to go over, so I won't do that to you. So, what I'm going to do is I want to tell you just my miracles. That alone, what I've shared, is a miracle, just me being sober 19 years, one day at a time. The one thing that I've learned, though, and probably one of the most important things, is that my miracles are not yours, and yours are not mine. And there's a saying that outward appearances are not inward realities. And so many times in my life, I've seen you and you look perfect and everything looks great and the couple looks like a great couple or the house is amazing and whatever. And and the deal is that's not always the case. And even if you seem like you have this or that, what I needed to learn and what I continue to learn is I need to tap into my own truth. What makes Shireen happy? What do I really want? Not about what my parents want for me or what you think I should do. If I want to be the best mother and that's all I want to do, let that be fucking right on and good enough. If you want to be the plumber, be Joe the plumber. No, be, but I say that with all the love in my heart. I'm just saying if you want to be a lawyer and you want to be a doctor or a lawyer. But the point is to be who you want to be and be happy with that. And don't let anybody knock you down or break you down because you think or they think that you should be something else. Find what makes you tick. Find what makes you feel alive. Find what's good enough for you, and be enough. Be enough with you. And the steps have given me that. And so my miracle for me, because there might be people in this room who have fantastic jobs, are filthy rich, and god dang, you're lucky. Maybe you're not. Who knows what your life's like? And then there's a lot of us that are just really struggling, and I've had both sides. Well, no, I've never been filthy rich. But I've struggled, a lot. And so in 5 minutes, what I can tell you is I was a high school dropout, told you didn't care about school. I got here, and I've always worked in the industry. Even before getting here, I worked at Screen Actors Guild and APTRA, and anyway, a whole bunch of places in entertainment. But it was like clerical jobs, nothing important. It's okay, I worked here. But it was like great benefits, but it was really for the benefits, but it was nothing important. And I remember when I got here, and I was about 8 years sober, I remember I was working at Fox, and I'd been there 8 years, and I hated what I was doing. Hated it. But a lot of my identity was saying, I work at Fox. And the deal was I was dying. I was dying. And, but I knew I had a gift for working with people, which I think any of us have just by being of service and picking somebody up and taking them to a meeting. But I knew for me, I really had a gift. That was what I felt in my gut anyway. And it finally took me 8 years of hearing you guys say, you went back to school, you got your diploma, you did this, and I was like, oh, God, good for them. And what I can also say is that, for a long time, the game works. For a long time, I got the easier, softer way. For a long time, I would use my charm or whatever we, use to get over the easier, softer way. And what I learned in recovery and what started happening, not just learning it, is that I couldn't just get things by saying the right things anymore. I had to do the work. And the work was if I wanted to work in recovery, and I'd made a decision, I wanted to work in recovery. And that meant, you need to go to school, because it wasn't like the old days where you could just have some time and start working. Or if you wanted to work in a reputable place anyway, you needed to go to school. So I'm working full time. I've got a little daughter at that time, single parent. By the way, let me just real quick rewind. Her father, the one that I told you, I had married out of prison, he's one of us. He had multiple opportunities to come to a meeting like this and get sober, and he even tried, but not diligently, and he's doing life in prison right now. And he's been there for over 15 years right now. And so my daughter doesn't get to, know her father, and he misses out on what a beautiful, amazing young girl and young woman she is. So I just needed to remember to say that, because you know what? We think it's not going to happen to us. And it's fucking cunning, baffling, and powerful. And we think it's not going to happen to me. But God damn it, I know it can happen to me. I have stolen. I have done all kinds of shit that should have landed me in prison many times. I've done things where I should have lost my daughter. Why you lost yours and I didn't lose mine or whatever, I don't even question it anymore. I just know that whatever your situation is, even if you have lost your children or whatever, you are here right now. You have a chance to get clean and sober. And I know for a fucking fact that if you stay clean, because the very thing that got you to lose your family or your loved one or whatever is because of your disease, if you stay clean and you keep doing it, you will get them back. It may take a while. It may take a long time, but you have to do your part. And if you keep going out, then it keeps putting you where you were, and you'll never get what you want because you keep doing the same shit. Something has to change, and the change has to happen now. And so the change for me was that I did go to school, and it was so hard. I mean, I remember going, to work at 7 o'clock in the morning and then straight to school and getting home at 11 o'clock at night every fucking day for 2 years. And I don't know how I did it looking back. I don't even know because I am not willing to do it today, again. But I did, and it's because of you guys, and because I shared about it and you guys shared with me, and I'm not an easy, I don't learn well. I had to study and study and study, but I did it, and it gave me self-esteem, and it gave me pride. And so, let me just say today, and I don't say this to brag. I heard this guy say when he says things, it's not to brag, it's to let you know that anything's possible. It's to let you know that things happen, and again, for you, what I share may not even be a big deal, but for me it is. And what had happened is I'd interviewed for this job 9 years ago before I went to school to work in recovery at the Grammys. And I was in accounting at the time. Anyway, I had my third interview. I thought I was going to get it, didn't get it. So, speed forward, I've gone to school now, got my, certification, got my credentials, worked some other jobs, got hired at Cry Help, worked there for 4 years, was happy, and all of a sudden, this job opens up at the Grammys, but not in accounting, which I hate, with a place called Music Cares, which is their charitable arm, which they were hiring a substance abuse counselor and case manager, one, and I interviewed against, I can't even tell you how many people, and at that time, I was over 300 pounds in my life, miserable, but yet I was taught to suit up and show up no matter what my head says, no matter what you say, and I thought, if I go, they're not going to want me, because look at me, who would want me? And you know what, I went anyway. And I interviewed, and I went on a second interview. And the bottom line is I've been there 4 years now. They promoted me once, in the last 4 years, probably up for another promotion in the next year, and it's the first time in my life that any of this stuff has happened because I showed up. Because I showed up despite what my head said, despite what I thought about myself, despite what you thought about me, and I just did the work. And it's like I said, okay, God, I freaking get it. I get it, It's none of my business. But if something opens up for any one of you, any opportunity it is, just show up. And if it doesn't work out like it didn't 9 years ago at this place, it's because it wasn't meant to be. There was another plan, but it was 9 years later. And that's happened to me in so many other ways than just that little story. So with that being said, I need to close. But what I do want to tell you is that if you think that this program is just about not drinking, you are shortchanging yourself in this program. It's about so much more, and I hope you stay. Thank you.